There's a technology that is literally everywhere in our homes, our offices, even the phone in your hand that we barely even think about: the LED light. It's a marvel of efficiency, for sure. But what if it comes with a hidden cost to our health? Well, a fascinating new study suggests it just might. So let's dive in. So let's just start with a really direct question. Is it possible that the very light you're using to see right now is having some kind of negative effect on your body, right down to the cellular level? It sounds like a pretty bold idea, I know, but the science we're about to explore suggests it's a question we really need to start asking. Okay, so here's the heart of the problem. For millions of years, humans evolved under sunlight and fire. We call that full spectrum light. Just look at that range. It's huge, from ultraviolet all the way to infrared. But modern LEDs, they operate on a much, much narrower spectrum. See, they were designed for what our eyes can see, but the problem is our bodies are built to respond to the whole package, including the parts we can't see. And that brings us right to our first section, the light we can't see. Because as it turns out, the most important part of the light spectrum for our biology might just be the wavelengths that are completely invisible to us. I absolutely love this analogy. Think of sunlight as a full orchestra, right? You've got the high notes from the violins, but you also have those deep, rich, resonant sounds from the cellos and tubas. Well, standard LEDs are kind of like listening to that orchestra with only the violins playing. You're missing all the deep infrared sounds that our bodies have been tuned to hear for millennia. And this timeline really puts it all into perspective. For basically all of human history, we lived under the full spectrum light of the sun and fire. Even those old incandescent bulbs we used to have did a decent job of mimicking that broad spectrum. Then bam, just over a decade ago, we made this massive global switch to spectrally limited LEDs. In evolutionary terms, that's not even the blink of an eye. It's an abrupt, massive change. So what are the actual biological consequences of stripping out all that deep infrared light? Well, to figure that out, we've got to go microscopic and look at what's really powering our bodies, our cellular batteries. So inside pretty much every single cell in your body, you have these incredible little organelles called mitochondria. The easiest way to think of them is like tiny rechargeable batteries. They produce a molecule called ATP, which is the energy currency for basically everything you do. Your brain thinking, your heart beating, your eyes seeing us right now, it's all powered by these little mitochondrial batteries. And this, right here, is the crucial discovery. It turns out that different wavelengths of light act on these batteries in completely opposite ways. Just look at this. The short blue wavelengths that are so dominant in LEDs, they seem to drain the battery. But the long red and infrared wavelengths, the ones abundant in sunlight but missing from LEDs, they do the opposite. They actually recharge the battery. So we've basically created an environment that's constantly draining our cellular power without giving it the light it needs to recharge. Okay, so that's the theory. It sounds pretty compelling, but how do you actually test this in the real world? Well, that brings us to this really clever study on vision, where researchers asked a simple question. If we put that missing light back into a normal LED-lit office, can we actually measure a difference? And the conclusion from the study was, well, pretty unambiguous. As the authors state right here, the visual performance of people working under standard LEDs got significantly better when they were also exposed to old-school incandescent light, which, just like the sun, has that full, rich spectrum. And the way they did it was super straightforward. First, they took a baseline measurement of 22 office workers' color vision. Simple enough. Then, for 2 weeks, they gave half of them incandescent desk lamps, basically adding that missing infrared light back into their workspace. And finally, they retested everybody's vision to see what happened. And the results were frankly stunning. Just look at this chart. The group that got the extra full-spectrum light saw their color vision performance jump significantly. We're talking a massive improvement in a fundamental biological function, just from changing a desk lamp for 2 weeks. It's pretty wild. But here's where the story gets even more incredible. The improvement wasn't just big, it was also remarkably long-lasting. And this was the part that really surprised the scientists. So let's just lock in on this number for a second. Around a 25% average improvement in their ability to distinguish between subtle shades of color. This is a direct measure of how well the super energy-hungry cells in your retina are working. A 25% boost is no small thing.
Okay, now for the real bombshell. The scientists took the incandescent lamps away and just kept testing the subjects. And that 25% boost in vision, it didn't just disappear after a few days, like it had in other studies. It was still there 6 weeks later. The effect was incredibly durable.
And this is why that duration is so important. A short-term boost could just be a temporary jolt, right? But an improvement that lasts for over 6 weeks, that suggests something much more fundamental is going on. It's like the full-spectrum light wasn't just giving the mitochondria a quick charge, it seems to have triggered a deeper physiological reset, effectively helping rebuild a more robust cellular engine.
So, where does this leave us? What's the big picture here? Well, all of this really forces us to step back and rethink our entire approach to modern lighting.
For the last decade or so, the entire conversation around lighting has focused on one single thing: energy efficiency. And yeah, LEDs are amazing at that. But in our laser focus on efficiency, we've almost completely ignored the biological impact. This study shines a light, no pun intended, on a massive public health blind spot. It suggests that just improving the quality of our light could be a profoundly simple and cheap way to boost our health. All right, so let's just quickly put it all together. Number 1. Modern LED light is missing huge, important chunks of the light spectrum our bodies evolved with. 2. Our cellular batteries, our mitochondria, really need those missing wavelengths to work their best. 3. When we add that light back in, we see real, measurable improvements in how our bodies function. And 4. Those improvements can be incredibly durable, which suggests a deep biological reset is taking place. And that leaves us with this final, really critical question to think about. Your eye's retinas have the highest energy demand of any tissue in your entire body, which makes them a fantastic indicator of what's going on. So if just 2 weeks of better light can have such a profound and lasting effect on our eyes, what is our LED-dominated world doing to the mitochondria in our brain, in our heart, and in the rest of our body, day in and day out? It's definitely something to think about the next time you flip a switch.